should be good one. That is the one podcast there. Okay. Here's our Facebook. Just give me a second here. Facebook. Right now, streaming, Facebook streaming. Yes. Hi, everybody there. We Today is a Tuesday, and it is a 5th after enjoying our Easter, not our Easter, after enjoying our 4th of July celebration. And I'm sure many of us had a great time just to reflect on the importance and the power of freedom, to which we are enjoying today as a result of men and women who fought to secure such. And I was very elated on Sunday as I spoke on the freedom God has given to all of us. He has brought for us to know that we have been made free. And so now today we continue with the program we introduced last Tuesday, which is our financial empowerment being conducted by or facilitated by Houston and also John Carl with oh my God, man. Sometimes the name of the company, the organization.
Equitable Advisors.
Equitable Advisors Group. And as I mentioned the last time, they're doing a tremendous job of helping us understand the importance of financial viability, financial standing, improvement, however you really want to call it. And that's why we have brought this program to help us. I'm very, very certain that it will be helpful to many, if not all of us who are watching this and learning some principles that will help us. And so today, we'll be dealing with a subject called life insurance and investment, and the importance of tapping into that and beginning to do something about it. And without even really talking much about this, I just want to hand over to Houston and John Carl for them to present to us on this subject of life insurance and investment. So, John and Houston, please take over from here. If I have any questions, I'll ask the questions. If some people be posting the text messages in terms of questions, I will send them or read them out to you so that you can provide the answers to them. Okay? All right, gentlemen, go ahead.
Absolutely. Thank you for the introduction, Reverend Sylvester. And I'm just going to share my screen here and then let me know, once you're able to see that as well. Okay, are you guys able to see my screen here?
No, I can't see it.
Can't see.
Okay, let me try one more time. Okay, how about now?
I still see all of us.
Yeah, the area on you seen.
Okay, let me try one more time.
I see this one at the bottom. Okay, there we go.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So what we'll be discussing today is Financial Strategies 101. So that will include Insurance 101, Investments 101, and then a topic called Buckets of Money. So, we're really excited to be presenting with you today. We'll start off with a brief introduction for those who are just tuning in for the first time. And as Reverend Sylvester mentioned, what we're doing through this program is a financial empowerment series. So throughout the next 4 weeks, I will be going through a number of different topics that you can use to take steps forward in your own financial journey. So we'll start off with a brief introduction. My name is John Carl Counsel. I work with Equitable Advisors as a financial consultant. I'm a graduate of California University of Pennsylvania, which is also how I got connected with Reverend Sylvester. And I currently work with a group called the Equitable Retirement Benefits Group. So really excited just to tell you a little bit more about the work that we do here at Equitable and, how we might be able to benefit you through some of the topics that we cover through our series.
And my name is Orlando Houston. I'm a financial consultant, attended at the University of Pittsburgh. I'm also a retirement planning specialist. And just to echo John Carl, definitely excited to present to you today and looking forward to the additional series in the upcoming weeks.
So we'll start off here, talking about the different types of insurance and also the purpose of insurance as well. So the purpose of insurance is to protect your family, providing income to your beneficiaries in the event of premature death. So really, and here's a question for you, Reverend Sylvester. What would you say is your biggest asset, with all of your investments or properties or other assets that you have? What would you say is your biggest asset that you own?
Personally, my biggest asset that I own is real estate. It's my
Real
biggest
estate.
asset.
Okay. Yeah. So I would say a lot of people, they would say that their biggest asset is, their biggest income producing vehicle. But I would argue to say that your biggest asset is yourself or
Oh,
your ability to earn income.
okay, that's good. That's good.
So
It's a good
yeah, so
list.
that's a really good way to kind of look at it. And the overall purpose of life insurance is to ensure your ability to earn income, or also to provide income to your family in the event of premature passing. So a statistic for you is that nearly half of Americans, they don't have life insurance, whether it's because they believe it's too expensive, or they're just not educated on some of the benefits of it. And some of the advantages of having life insurance are, number one, that it's inexpensive. Today you can get life insurance for pennies on a dollar. So really just making sure that you have the right type of coverage is what is important. And by sitting down and talking with a financial consultant, they can determine what is the right amount and the right type of coverage for you. The second would be for the death benefit. So providing that level of financial stability, or just peace of mind, and knowing that you have insurance for yourself and for your family, is another benefit of having life insurance. And number three would be the ability to create an estate, in addition to the number of riders that you can add to having an insurance policy. Also, in addition, the cash value that's associated with like permanent insurance can be tax-free as well on withdrawal. So a number of different, benefits to having insurance, but the main thing is knowing which type is the right for you. So first of all, we can look at term insurance. There's a number of different periods or time values that you can have with your term insurance policy. If you see here on the screen, we have your 5-year term, your 10-year term, your 15-year term, and your 20-year term. So, like I said, there's two different types of insurance. One is term, which is like renting a home, and the other is permanent insurance, which is like owning a home. So the way that term insurance works is that it starts off as very inexpensive, and as you get older, the price of your term insurance is going to increase, and that's because you're getting older and you're more of a risk to insure. So the purpose and the way that term insurance is designed to be used is twofold. First of all, if you came to me and said, I need coverage for a specific period of time, generally 15 years or less, we would recommend term insurance because that's, the way that it's designed to be used. The second way would be if you need a specific amount of coverage, but you can't get it all in permanent insurance, then you get term or a blend of the two. So it's a really easy way to get the right amount of coverage. So yeah, the analogy that we like to use is that term insurance is very similar to renting, and permanent insurance is like owning. So, for example, if you have a landlord, your rent's going to start off as very inexpensive, and as time goes by, your rent is going to increase. So, once your insurance coverage expires, you don't get your money back for term insurance, but you can say that you did have like a roof over your head during that period of time. So, it certainly has a purpose, but it's up to us to determine, which is the right type of insurance for you. So in this example here, we're looking at a $500,000 term insurance policy. The cost of insurance is $30 a month, which is also called your premium. With this type of policy, on average, you can get about a 2 to 4% return. Whereas if you're looking at a perm insurance policy, getting that return is guaranteed with this policy. So if you look at the example, the premium amount is $150. So a little bit more than what the term insurance policy is. But the cost of insurance really is $50. And with that monthly premium amount, there's also a cash value, which is associated with the policy. So with that, you can use that for purchasing a vacation, a car, or even paid up insurance. So with that, it allows you to build cash value in the policy that can be used at any time. You can withdraw that money at any time. But that's the really nice thing about the permanent insurance. Whereas with term insurance, there's no cash value associated with that type of policy, but it is very inexpensive. So those are the two different types of insurances. Like I said, it's good to sit down with a professional to determine the right amount of coverage, in addition to which type is the right amount or is the right type for you. Like I said, it's good to sit down with a professional to determine the right amount of coverage. In addition, there is, tax-free money that is associated with this as well. So, just another benefit of having insurance. As far as the rate of return with whole life or universal life insurance, there's a 2 to 4% rate of return, whereas with a variable universal life insurance policy, the return is about 2 to 12%. Okay.
All right. Yeah. Thanks, John Carl, for that. And what I'll ask you to do for my portion, just click on, I guess, the next button, so all the topics or information pops up.
Okay.
All right. Okay. All right. So now we're going to talk about investment 101, and investments can come in many forms, right? But today we're going to talk about investments related to cash, stocks, mutual funds, and also bonds, and just trying to give you some insight on how investments work. So, I'm not going to go into great detail because that would take a lot longer. Just try to give you maybe, higher level view of investments 101. So first we'll start talking about cash. All right. So cash is an asset made up of, your checking account, savings, money market, CDs or certificates of deposits. Also, you have bills, which are T bills, which are more treasury bills. So those are forms of cash. Basically, they're places where you just kind of park your money. Your intention with this account, with these cash accounts, are not for long term. They should be for short term. Uh, Short term goals such as 3 to 6 months of emergency expenses. So I'm not sure how many of you tuned in to the last session when I talked about having 3 to 6 months of short term money available for emergency expenses. So if you are intending on putting money somewhere for that 3 to 6 months, you don't want to put it anywhere that isn't one of these choices here. Historically, you'll earn about a 0 to 3% interest rate on your cash. It typically, interest rates, well, historically, I would say over the past, probably decade or a little bit more, interest rates have been low. Interest rates have started to creep back up because the Federal Reserve has raised interest rates, which I'm sure a lot of you that have maybe money market accounts or CDs are noticing that your bank may be offering you more money, more interest. So, that seems to be the temperature nowadays, and a lot of people are concerned about the stock market. But it's all based on your risk tolerance, whether or not you want to put your money in cash as an investment to earn a little higher interest rate. Inflation has been about 3%. So, just if you kind of look at it, or kind of compare it, if you're earning 2% on your money market account or your savings account or your CDs, and the inflation, the cost of living, is growing by 3%, then your purchasing power is going to be less than what it would be if you maybe earn more money or more interest on that cash. So that's why I'm saying, if you want to have, investments for the long term, you don't want to invest them in vehicles like this, but it's good for the short term.
I have a question for you, John. No, John, Houston.
Yep.
As you move on, one of the I know the things you mentioned. Why should I save some cash for 3 to 6 months? Why 3 to 6 months and not more than that?
Yeah, good question. So 3 to 6 months is a good starting point. One, because typically, and I don't have the I guess all the data, uh, but if you were to lose your job, it takes about 3 to 6 months, to find another job. So you would be living off your savings. So that's where that 3 to 6 months comes from. If you could do longer than that, then definitely, save for 12 months, usually 3 to 6 months.
Okay.
Yeah, is around about the time it takes a person to find another position. And yeah, like I was just saying that, most people are negatively impacted, by saving or having too much cash because it's not going to keep pace with inflation. I know a long time ago, people that were, came through the depressions or recessions, they were more like money in the mattress. They wanted to keep their money somewhere that they can see it because they didn't trust, money being in the market. But I would argue that you do want to have money invested into the stock market as well as have cash. John Carl, you can go to the next slide. All right. So bonds. So bonds are another type of investment that you can potentially earn 3 to 5%. Bonds are more, and I believe this is coming up in another slide, but basically an IOU. So there's short-term bonds and long-term bonds. The longer you hold the bond, typically the higher interest rate that you'll receive from a particular institution. So you have government bonds, municipal bonds, corporate bonds, high yield that earn, more than a government bond would, and also international bonds. So the bonds that you could purchase aren't only here domestically. You can purchase bonds from institutions outside of the United States. Next slide. Okay, so here, all right. Okay, all right. So here's an example of bonds, and like I was telling you before, it's IOU. So you have your government bonds, which are like savings bonds, corporate bonds from corporate companies like General Mills, which is a company I'm sure we're all familiar with. If you eat cereal, or if you have eaten cereal in the past, I'm sure you're familiar with corporate or General Mills. High yield, General Motors back in 2008. Those bonds are higher yield because they were paying out a higher rate. Municipal bond, City of Pittsburgh. So you can also purchase a bond off of the city. Those municipal bonds could be used for tolls, roads, buildings, infrastructure, things like that. And also international. Toyota is not a domestic company, so you can purchase a bond from Toyota as well, or other international companies. So, for example, if Disney wants to raise capital, they'll issue a bond. So, issuing the bond at $10,000, they're going to pay you 4%. 4% of that $10,000 each year is $400. So, in year 5, you would have a total of $2,000. So, like I said before, it's an IOU. So, they are going to pay you to hold your money because they need to use that money as capital for ventures that they have. All right. So, and the bonds you see, the companies you see here, or just some of the companies and institutions, but not limited to the example here. And next slide. Okay. So now we are going to talk about stocks. So stocks, as you can see here, compared to the last slide, could earn potential 8 to 12%. Now, again, that's when I say that loosely, could earn potential 8 to 12%. It could be higher, it could be lower. There's no guarantee. It's not like the bonds where General Mills or City of Pittsburgh or, international company says, hey, Reverend Sylvester, if you give me money, I'll hold it for you, or I'll use it, and I'll use it for infrastructure, and I guarantee I'm going to give you, or I promise I'm going to give you, a certain interest rate. Stocks are not guaranteed. So the longer you hold the stock, historically, that value, has gone up depending on the stock. There's different types of stock, growth stocks versus value. So you have large cap or large stocks, large companies, mid-sized U.S. companies, small U.S. companies, international stocks, and then also emerging markets. And these are countries that are not developed, but they are, on their way. And you can also issue, or they can also issue a stock as well that you can invest in.
So how do I know the best stock to invest in if I was to invest?
So, there really isn't a best stock. It's really a matter of I guess I can say you want to study that company. I tell people that are getting into stocks for the first time, because they ask the same question, what's the best stock to get into? There's a lot of stocks, that you can get into that are doing well, or have done well, or we think are going to do well. And the easiest way, I think, is first just to do some research, or invest in a company that you know about, like we talked about General Mills, or any other company that you used before, companies you use every day for just life, right? Those are companies that you kind of want to start out with. And then also, like I said, just do some research on the company, find out, how they're structured, learn about what their agendas are, their goals, their plans. So that way, you can understand the direction this company is headed in. Maybe you want to look at the management, see what the management philosophies are as well. So those are some of the, I think, key points to factor in when you're trying to figure out what stock is not maybe the best stock, but the best stock for you. So there's several different type of stocks. So like I said on the last slide, large companies, for example, Bank of America, Bank of America has been around for years. Mid-sized companies, Key Bank, hasn't been around for as long as Bank of America. Maybe, doesn't have the same capital, isn't making, I guess, as much money as Bank of America. Small companies, AMC, these are companies that are in their, I guess, quote unquote, infancy very early on. These small companies have the potential to grow to a mid-sized company, to a large company, but that chapter is still being written. With those small companies, a lot of times you'll earn more money, again, potentially, than a mid-sized or large company, because these companies have more room for growth. And, on the flip side of the coin, those companies can also go the opposite way, go down, right? So the volatility may be greater in a small company stock versus a mid or large company. Then you have your international companies from countries like you see here, and also emerging markets. Growth versus value, again, growth companies that are still geared towards growth. They haven't pretty much, and I don't want to say they've plateaued, but they're not maybe coming up with innovation. There isn't a lot of room for growth for them. So those are your growth companies: Google, Amazon, Facebook. Then your value companies: AT&T and Verizon, just to name a couple. Next slide. And yep. So just I'd seen there was one little more piece of information that popped up on that last slide. And I guess it piggybacks off the previous slide, but 8 to 12% historically has been the returns of those companies. And this slide doesn't list the return for each of those companies. It's just historically, I guess, on an aggregate. And all right, so mutual funds and stocks. Okay, so a mutual fund is a basket of stocks, and a stock is just one particular company. So if you look at your 401k or your 403b plan that you have, or whatever type of retirement account, maybe you have group retirement account you have at work, more than likely you're going to see a mutual fund company because that your employer may not have a stock lineup, which I personally haven't seen a lineup of just stock. I don't even think that's allowable to have a group retirement plan that invests in stocks specifically. It's more so mutual funds. So a mutual fund you see here has a lot of different companies inside of it, which for a lot of people gives them a little bit more peace of mind, because now they know that, say, McDonald's, if McDonald's doesn't do well this year, they have AT&T that may have done well, or Walmart, or vice versa. So that way it takes maybe some of that uncertainty or some of that risk kind of off the table, or just kind of more of a peace of mind for you to know that your portfolio's value isn't pegged to just one particular company. It's a group. Then you have a stock, which is just, say, GM. So now you invest directly into GM. And whatever the stock price of GM is at that time will be how much you would pay for one share of GM. For mutual funds, you actually, if, say, for example, you put $1,000 in, you're going to buy a little bit of each of those companies. It's not going to be 1,000 for GM, 1,000 for CBS, but that $1,000 or whatever amount it is going to cover just a small percentage. So a lot of people will, may only be able to afford to invest into a mutual fund because, say, for instance, the price for a stock is $800 or $900. and maybe you don't have that amount, maybe you have 500 and you still want to invest into the company, you can invest into a mutual fund that invests into those particular stock companies.
A question for you, Houston, also. So you first of all started talking about bond. You're talking about the mutual fund, and you're talking about the stock. Say, I mean, I have never done any of these. As some might actually ask you, um, which would be the best place for me to do the investing? In bonds, mutual fund, or stock? What is the advantage of each?
So the advantage of each is that, again, based on your risk tolerance, you're going to have certain buckets of money for different periods in your life. And I actually believe that slide's coming up. So I think unless you already had access to the slides, Baron Sylvester, I think you're already ahead of the presentation. But so to answer your question, I'm sure I'll talk more about it here in a second, that, if you have short-term needs, right? You want to invest or have your money in those cash, the CD savings, treasury bills, different things like that, because those accounts are not, they're not going to earn you a lot. But if you need to get your hand on it right then and there, you can. You don't have to liquidate a mutual fund or a stock and wait. And also that the value of the cash is only, it's going to go up because you're receiving an interest rate similar to the bonds. It's going to go up. Now with the bonds, the advantage is, again, you're going to have that guaranteed interest rate. However, that company that issues that bond wants to hold that money for maybe 4 or 5 years. So you aren't going to be able to access it until that time like you would cash. The mutual funds, the stocks, those accounts are going to potentially earn more. You can access them anytime that you want. But the value is going to fluctuate. So you don't want to have your, if you're saving for a house in 2 years, I don't think that you want to, see the value of the money that you're going to pay for that house fluctuate as much as it can inside that mutual fund or stock. Because the reality of it is that, say in 2 years, that value may have went from $1,000 to $800. Or 100,000 to 80,000, and you're ready to buy the house. Now you have to either buy a lesser value house or wait to buy that house because you invested that money that you needed for the short term into something that is more of a long-term investment.
Okay.
Next slide. All right, buckets of money. And just click through, John Carl, so everything pops up. Okay. All right. So this is actually part of the question I just answered for you. The what's the advantage to have each of these types of funds? So buckets of money. Short term, again, checking savings, treasury bills, but inflation is going to goes up by 3%. That's more of a conservative investment. Then you have your bucket of money that is more short term to medium, which are brokerage accounts. The gains in the account are taxed. So for example, if you put $1,000 into a brokerage account and that invests into the stock market, and you have a growth amount of $100, now you're going to pay, if you draw that money out, you're going to pay taxes not on that initial $1,000, but you're going to pay taxes on that $100. Okay. So, you just want to make sure that you understand that, when you are investing into a brokerage account, a non-retirement account, to just be specific. Then you have your short, medium, long-term accounts like your Roth IRAs. So we didn't talk about Roth IRAs, but that's one type of retirement account. A Roth IRA is an account that is tax-free money when you take it out. You may or may not be eligible to contribute to a Roth IRA. Also, a Roth IRA has certain limitations on the contribution amount. I'm a big proponent of Roth IRAs if it makes sense for you. The distributions, like I said, are tax-free when you take them out, and you get about a 4 to 12% on average return. With the Roth IRA, it is a retirement account, so you don't want to touch the gains until you're 59 and a half, at least. Of course, you can take the money out if you want, but the idea is to leave it in for retirement because this is an individual retirement account. The max amount that you can put into a Roth IRA as of 2022, if you're single, is $6,000. If you are single and you are over 50 years old, there's a catch-up provision of $1,000 in addition that you can put in. So you can put in up to $7,000 per year. For a married couple, you just basically double those contribution amounts, right? So $12,000 if both of you are under 59 and a half, 50, and $14,000 per year. Also, there's some cutoffs. So the cutoffs are the max amount of money that you can make in the year. So like I was saying before, you may not be eligible to contribute to a Roth. So the cutoff income is $139,000 in 2022 if you're single, and for a married couple, $206,000. And this is adjusted gross income. All right, so not your gross, your adjusted gross, which are different. We are not tax professionals, so I won't get into the nuances of that, but just consult with your tax professional to find out if you're eligible or not. And then below just, has a little chart of what I talked about before for short-term, mid-term, long-term. Then you have your medium-term investments, which are tax-free. Again, that could be your Roth IRAs, that could be your defined benefit plans, like pension plans, depending on if you're offered a pension, and Roth IRAs, things like that, different things like that. So you want to have it at least in there for 10 plus years, and actually not your pension. Your pension plan would be more the long term, and that's if your company offers it. And then you have your long term, which are your 401ks, your 403bs, pensions if you have it, but it's not listed here. Your 401k contributions are deducted from your pay through payroll deduction. That's one of the easiest ways to invest money because it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. Your employer takes it directly from your pay. You have to be 59 and a half years old to take that money out while you're working without penalty. If you do take it before that, you're subject to a possible 10% penalty. Depending on your state, you may pay state tax. You'll pay federal tax, again, depending on your state. And then it just shows an aggregate of a tax rate. Again, consult with your tax professionals or your CPAs on what taxes you would pay on that 401k or 403b money. With a traditional 401k, you are, like I said, going to pay tax. So I guess you can consider that account. The government has proverbial lien against your money because if you have $500,000, you're going to pay tax on that money based on your income for that year. So that whole $500,000 is not your money. Uncle Sam wants his part, and then you get the rest. Still, again, a great way for a lot of people to save money, but those are more, again, long-term investments, and that's more aggressive. And it says aggressive. However, in your 401k, you can have some, less risky, quote unquote, investments like mutual fund bonds, or you can even have money markets inside there as well. So, but that's where somebody like myself or John Carl comes in to handy with helping you figure out how to invest each of these buckets of money.
Okay. Okay.
And so that wraps it up. Hopefully, everybody that has tuned in or will be tuning in has got some good tidbits out of this. We're more than happy to answer any questions that you have, and I'll turn it back over to you, Reverend Celeste.
Thanks very much, Orlando, for the presentation. This is quite an interesting a presentation, so to say. As I said, sometimes these are things that we have not really paid much attention to help us improve our financial well-being. We have to some extent looked at them in a cold way rather than in an excitement way, that it is something that would help me. And information like this, is quite important, because even the questions, I have some questions still more over some of the things you have. We have misconceptions about these things. That's why we are not investing. It's because sometimes what people have told us. But with information like this, then you begin to see that I can do something about this. I can do something about this. And your presentation between bond, mutual fund, and stock, there are many that do not fully understand the differences. And this really just helps us to grasp the concepts and see what we can do. And so if I was just to ask one more question, Houston, because I saw like in the 401k that in the end, Uncle Sam comes and taxes you, but that was your investment. That was your investment. Why does Uncle Sam still come and tax you on what you saved?
Good question. So in the traditional 401k, the money goes in pre-tax, meaning that you don't pay any taxes on your investments until you take them out. So since they're pre-tax, and again, Uncle Sam wants his money, he says, all right, I'll allow you to invest into this bucket of money, this pot, for however long you work. But at some point, you're going to have to pay taxes on this money. And typically people, whenever they retire, they'll take that money out and start paying taxes. As of last year, the required minimum distribution age is 72 years old. So you can actually leave that money in there until you're 72 without paying taxes on it. But at some point, because it's pre-tax, you have to pay taxes.
It gains interest, right?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
It gains interest.
So it has a rate of return, and people do compare it to gaining interest. I just want to make sure that the distinction is made. Interest is earned on your bonds and your money markets and CDs, things like that. And your stocks and mutual funds have a rate of return, because the interest is guaranteed. Rate of returns aren't. So you earn potentially a rate of return on your 401k.
Okay, a rate of return, you said.
Correct. Yep, rate of return. So just to note that the interest, like when you say interest, I just want people to understand, because I get that a lot, and I understand why you would compare it or say interest, but it's actually a rate of return. So you're earning a return, a gain potentially on your stocks.
Okay. I hope the people understand. So be prepared for our workshop. People still will have the question to ask on
Yeah,
that.
right. No, and and like
Why are
before,
you taking my money and do the pre-tax, and then you're just putting the money there? Why don't you give me the interest for keeping that money for the years that you are keeping it and using it?
yeah, exactly. And you know what? And then to that question, I answer, you probably want to invest into a bond, so that way, where they'll hold your money and they'll give you guaranteed interest.
Okay, okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay. So those are some of the questions we shall come and deal with, and be ready to come and answer. I mean, because we want to know what would be the best
Mhm.
way of investing that
Yep.
would give us better returns in the end for the
Yes.
little money we are investing, and where can I start with less money than the misconception that you have to have a whole lot of money
Mhm.
for you to do the investment. So those are the very questions we want you to give us, to guide us as
Yep.
to how we can best really start off wherever we are and begin to see that even a dollar can make a very big difference in our lives.
Yep. Yes. Yeah. Exactly. And I would just encourage everyone that is either tuning in now or will tune in to reach out to us, because at the end of the day, our process to, or the way we're able to answer that question, Rebel Sylvester, that you just posed, is to actually have a conversation, with you to find out what your goals are. Because as you can see from the presentation, there's a lot of different types of ways to invest money, but all those may not be for you. So it all starts with that conversation, what we call a fact finder, to learn about you. Just kind of like when you go to the doctor, and you have to write down all your allergies and everything, and that's pretty much kind of what we do. We want to diagnose your situation to provide a solution.
Beautiful. Well, everybody, this is a really quite wonderful, quite interesting and encouraging. And I know John and Houston, I mean, Orlando, Houston, they have quite, ammunition of a lot of information to give to us. What we have done is that we're going to have the 4 weeks of presentation, different topics they're going to talk about. And so today they talked about insurance partly, and then also investment. Sometimes some of these things may look so obvious and we don't pay much attention to them. But I would like to really encourage you, begin to look at these things in a different light for your own financial well-being. But we are at the same time, we are building all this up toward our workshop, which we are going to have. And they are going to do more in detail presentation, and then also on one-on-one presentation to people who would show great interest. Our workshop that you can begin preparing for is going to be on August the 6th. August the 6th at 10 a.m. here at Dynamic Dimension Ministries site. That's where we are going to hold this in this place, face to face, so that you can have whatever questions you have and so forth. You can talk with these guys, and they'll be able to help you and I and guide us so that we can get something. It is like it's an instructor trying to teach us how to drive the vehicle. You never drive a vehicle without sitting into it. You can do all the simulation, but the simulation doesn't really help much. But you've got to have the feel of what it means to hold the steering and move your legs. And so these guys, that's what they want to help us do, to put our hands to the steering of our financial vehicle and see how we can coordinate everything else for us to become well educated, well aware, and better money managers of our own financial being. And so, once again, Orlando and John, thank you so much for spending and spare, these few moments with us to learn something about this. I had seen there were some people who were watching here, and guess what? Some people from Brazil were watching. I have the name of the person here and says they love this very much. So you're not only just presenting to us here, you have a number of people outside there that are watching this program to see how it can help them. And that is our purpose of presenting financial empowerment or financial literacy, so that we can learn these principles that can help us. And we'll keep on encouraging as many as they can who want to watch this. Last but not the least, I have only a few minutes here. In terms of the workshop, everyone out there, you're going to be seeing my invitation. I'll pump this. I will told you, I'll challenge you, I'll move you. Do something about it. Please register on our website. We want to know how many people are going to attend the workshop, how many people are even joining here to watch this. Please go to our website and register there your name. It is going definitely to come to us. Who know who is registering, wanting to learn more about this and needing some help in this area. So I'm encouraging you, please, to go to Dynamic Dimension Ministries, which is ddmllc.org, and go to media services, and there you're going to see events. And that is where you go and register for the upcoming event that we're going to have on August 6th, 10 a.m. Please don't come at 10:30 when everything has started. Come 30 minutes before everything has started. That way you are able to catch on with everything, and even just be able to talk with other people online. So that is our encouragement. That is all for today. And thank you once again for joining in and for being with us. And we look forward to our next. In fact, before I close, John, tell us what is going to be our next program next Tuesday.
Yes. Yep. So today we talked about life insurance and investment 101. Next week we'll be talking about college savings plans.
College savings plans. We'll start to sending out today and so forth. Please, for some of you who have children who are in college and so forth, and even just there were others who are in college and others who are planning to go to college. This will be a great segment to encourage even just your children to be able to attend and listen to the importance of college savings. I'm sure it is going to be quite helpful to all of us. So that is next Tuesday, college savings. So, John, is it college savings by parents or is it college savings by students?
I think it'll be good for both parents and students to tune in. For students, it'll be a good introduction to how to get started with these things. And then for parents, just establishing and getting started with savings for college for your kids. So definitely encourage everyone to tune in.
Okay. No, thanks very much. So that is next week on Tuesday. But in the meantime, I just want to say thank you so much for coming, tuning in and listening to us. And thank you once again, Orlando Houston and John Carl Council, for your time you gave to make this presentation. Let's move on. We are climbing the mountain. We started from the bottom. We'll get over there. And so let's just keep on, moving, and greater things are coming. And so I'm really so excited about this as to where we are going with it. Thank you so much. And thank you, everybody. It is time for me now to say bye-bye. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.